Okay, in this video I will cover homeostasis. Homeostasis in Latin means to keep the same. Put simply, homeostasis is the maintenance and regulations of bodily actions and states. The body does this in two ways: negative feedback loop and a positive feedback loop. However, for IGCSE, you only need to understand the negative feedback loop. So what is it? A negative feedback loop is when a variable triggers a counter response. So for example, if you are in Siberia and it is cold, you will start shivering and your blood vessels start to contract. This causes internal heat temperature to rise, which counteracts the cold, which in this case is the variable. Now say you're in Texas, your sweat glands release sweat, obviously. Blood vessels dilutes, and the internal heat temperature of your body will overall decrease, which counteracts the hot air. This is one example of a negative feedback loop. However, it gets a bit more complicated. One of the other things that you need to understand is the control of glucose in the bloodstream. So for example, let's say you have a low concentration of glucose. The blood will go through the pancreas. The pancreas acts as a metal detector, so to speak, and it detects the fact that you don't actually have a lot of glucose in your blood. So what the pancreas will do, it releases glucagon by alpha cells. You don't need to know that it's released by alpha cells. And this goes to the liver. The liver then will release glucose into the bloodstream, and that creates a stable concentration of glucose in the bloodstream. Now, let's go back. Let's say there was a high concentration of glucose and you had too much of it. It'd still have to pass through the pancreas. The pancreas detects that there's too much, and the pancreas will release insulin by beta cells. This insulin is a small chemical that causes fatty acids in the body as well as the liver to basically fatty cells, sorry, not fatty acids, to take in this glucose. This overall, it will have its ups and downs, but overall, it will stabilize the concentration of glucose in the bloodstream. Now, something I'd like to cover with you is if there was a deficiency. This deficiency is in the form of diabetes type 1. You may have heard of it. Basically, what it is the immune system actually attacks the beta cells and kills them. This means that the pancreas cannot release insulin. So if you had a high concentration of glucose, your liver and fatty cells in the body will not be able to actually take it in without insulin. This causes a high concentration of an unhealthy concentration of glucose in the bloodstream. Right. This causes three main problems, which is unexplained weight loss, fatigue, and tiredness. It also causes hypothermia, which you don't need to know, but that's basically when there's too much of glucose, and that can cause further problems such as kidney failure. You don't have to know that, though. Hypoglycemia, sorry. And there are three main ways of treatment. That is a healthy diet that restricts your consumption of carbohydrates, and an insulin therapy, as well as just overall glucose monitoring. Now, insulin therapy, that's basically an artificial method of placing insulin into your body. For example, you can have insulin banks, which is basically this little insertion that is made into your body, and there's this little computer thing, you may have seen it, and it basically feeds in calculated amounts of insulin into your body.